My beloved child, when you sense tension around you, it can feel as though unseen forces are gathering in the background. Conversations become quieter when you enter a room. Certain relationships feel less secure than they once did. You begin to wonder whether someone you trusted is acting against your interests. These experiences can be deeply unsettling. Yet the most helpful response is not fear, but clarity. The purpose of this message is not to convince you that a hidden plot is certain. It is to remind you that your intuition deserves attention, and that your strongest protection lies in calm awareness and wise action. Sometimes people react negatively when they sense that you are becoming more confident, independent, and less willing to be controlled. Your growth can unsettle those who were comfortable with an earlier version of you. They may become distant, less supportive, or subtly manipulative. In some cases, personal information you shared in trust may be repeated or misunderstood. This can feel like betrayal, especially when it comes from someone familiar. But it is important to distinguish between genuine evidence and anxious speculation. Not every silence conceals a conspiracy, and not every change in behavior signals a coordinated attempt to remove you from your place in life. What is true, however, is that your kindness and openness are powerful qualities that should be paired with discernment. Trust is valuable, but it should be offered gradually and to people who consistently demonstrate respect. If you have noticed patterns that concern you, such as private information being repeated, boundaries being ignored, or decisions being made without your input, take those observations seriously. Review facts carefully, protect your personal communications, clarify expectations in important relationships and environments. Strength is not found in assuming the worst, but in responding thoughtfully to what you can verify. You may also sense that you are entering a new stage of life. As you become more self-respecting and independent, some connections will naturally shift. Not everyone will accompany you into your next season, and that is not always a sign of sabotage. Often it is a sign that your values are changing, and that healthier boundaries are forming. Opportunities, relationships, and environments that align with your growth will become more visible, while those rooted in control or insecurity may lose their hold. If two people have indeed shared information about you in ways that feel hurtful, remember that truth has a way of revealing itself over time. Inconsistencies become noticeable. Motives become clearer. People who rely on manipulation often expose themselves through their own actions. Your task is not to retaliate or become consumed by suspicion. Your task is to remain grounded, document what matters, and make decisions based on evidence and self-respect. The deeper message is one of empowerment. You are not as fragile as fear would suggest. The qualities that make you vulnerable to disappointment, your trust, your compassion, your willingness to believe in others, are also the qualities that make you resilient when balanced with wisdom. No one can rewrite your story without your participation. No one can permanently remove what is authentically yours when you continue acting with integrity and clarity. So breathe deeply, beloved child, and let your awareness sharpen without becoming overwhelmed. Notice what is real. Strengthen your boundaries. Seek trustworthy counsel if needed. Release the need to interpret every discomfort as proof of a hidden scheme. If something unhealthy is unfolding, calm observation and thoughtful action will reveal it more effectively than fear ever could. Whatever is changing around you, remember this: your life is guided most reliably by your own honesty, discernment, and courage. Relationships built on manipulation cannot endure indefinitely. Truth tends to surface, character endures, and as you continue to grow, you will become increasingly capable of recognizing who truly supports your path and who does not. What belongs in your life will remain through openness and respect. What does not belong will eventually fall away, making room for a future shaped not by betrayal, but by wisdom and authentic connection. Every time you opened up, thinking you were confiding in someone who understood you, you were unknowingly feeding the ammunition that is now being prepared to use against you. But the most powerful twist? The universe has already started leaking their secrets, and the truth is dripping out faster than they can contain it. You may have noticed small signs. Someone suddenly avoiding eye contact. Someone speaking too carefully. Someone trying too hard to act normal around you. These are not coincidences. These are the signs of people who know their hands are dirty. People afraid the truth will reach you before their plan is ready. One of them is losing sleep. One of them is watching you closely, terrified that you might confront them before they finish what they started. And another is already regretting being involved, but is too deep to walk away. Their fear is not because of what they've done, it's because of who you are becoming. They see your energy rising, your spirit awakening, your strength returning in ways they cannot predict or stop. And they know, if you find out everything, they lose the control they believed they had over your story. Stay with me, because the next part reveals exactly how their plan started to fall apart. The universe is playing a move so powerful right now that every hidden agenda is being pulled to the surface one by one. This isn't random. This is a divine response to the betrayal happening behind your back. The same, this, they tried to use to push you out, is about to become the evidence that pushes them out instead. Someone has slipped. Someone said something they shouldn't have. Someone trusted the wrong person. And now their secrets are floating through the same circles they thought were safe. And the irony is undeniable. The person who wanted to harm you is now the one being watched, questioned, and doubted by the very people they tried to manipulate. Their lies aren't sticking anymore. Their confidence is breaking. And the truth is gaining strength. And now, as the pressure around them increases, your presence is becoming more powerful, more noticeable, more protected. People are starting to sense that something is off, not with you, but with them. The whispering, the strange behaviors, the tension, they are exposing themselves without realizing it. And this is exactly why you must stay with me as the story continues. Because the next chapter reveals not only what they plan to use against you, but why their plan is destined to collapse right in front of them. Stay sharp, stay calm, stay aligned, because everything they tried to hide is about to stand in the open, and the universe is preparing a moment of justice, so unexpected, even they won't see it coming. There's something you need to hear now, something the universe has been trying to push toward your awareness, because the mask of the person working against you is starting to slip faster than they can hold it together. They thought they were invisible, moving in silence, shifting pieces behind your back without leaving a trace. But every move they made became a signal. Every lie they whispered became a thread. And now those threads are tightening around them like a rope they unknowingly tied themselves. The very thing they planned to use against you. This, at the center of their scheme, is beginning to turn unstable in their hands. It was supposed to destroy your position, your relationships, your peace, but instead, it's exposing their desperation and revealing their true intentions to the universe. What they don't realize is that their entire plan is built on a foundation of fear, envy, and insecurity, and anything built on that will collapse the moment truth touches it. The most shocking part? The person who initiated all of this didn't start with the intention of harming you. At first, they only wanted attention, validation, a sense of importance. But when they saw how naturally people gravitated toward you, how your presence changed the atmosphere, how your voice carried warmth, how your energy made others feel secure, their admiration twisted into jealousy. Slowly, quietly, and without even noticing, they crossed a line from insecurity into strategy. They observed you like a rival. They monitored your moves. They began collecting small details about you. Every word you said, every moment of vulnerability, every personal piece you trusted them with. They filed it away until they found the perfect moment to turn it into a weapon. And now, they think the moment has arrived. But the universe has already made sure that the weapon they built will malfunction in their hands. Someone close to them, someone they assumed would support their plan, is starting to feel uneasy. Guilt is creeping in. Their conscience is louder than their fear now. They can't sleep properly. They can't think clearly. And every time they see you, their heart tightens. Because deep down, they know you don't deserve what's happening. They know your intentions were never harmful. They know your kindness was real. And the idea of kicking you out, removing you from something you earned with pure effort, has become too heavy for them to carry. This pressure is creating cracks in their alliance, and those cracks are leaking information. The person who wanted to harm you doesn't realize that their own teammate is unintentionally revealing pieces of the plan through their behavior, their silence, their body language. And these small leaks are forming a path the universe is guiding you to follow. You may have noticed this shift already, the sudden awkwardness in conversations, the way someone hesitates before speaking, the strange pauses, the unfinished sentences. These are not random. These are signs that the truth is trying to reach you. Someone is afraid you'll figure out everything before they get the chance to act. Someone is worried that the tool they're using against you is losing its power. Someone fears that the moment you know the truth, their influence ends, and that fear is spreading through their decisions like wildfire, making them sloppy, revealing things they never meant to reveal. What they thought was a perfect plan is unraveling thread by thread, exposed by forces beyond their understanding. And now, the universe is preparing you for the moment where everything flips. The person trying to kick you out believes the world is on their side, but something extraordinary is happening behind the scenes. People are beginning to see you differently, not as someone who can be replaced or removed, but as someone essential, someone whose presence holds value, someone whose absence would create a void they can't fill. The energy is shifting in your favor so quickly that even destiny has started aligning people, events, and circumstances to defend you before the truth is fully revealed. Something undeniable is happening now, and you can almost feel it in the air around you. The tension, the shifting energy, the sense that a truth long hidden is finally pushing its way to the surface. The person working against you is growing restless. Their confidence is fading, not because their plan changed, but because the universe has started turning every one of their moves into a spotlight exposing their intentions. Their silence is loud now, their actions are shaky, their motives are visible through every forced smile, every unusually soft tone, every sudden attempt to act normal. They know something is slipping out of their hands, something they never expected: control. and nothing terrifies them more than the realization that you are beginning to see through the fog they tried so hard to create around you. Stay with me, because what comes next is where the entire story begins to bend toward your destiny. This they plan to use against you. This tool, this weapon, this twisted piece of information they thought would knock you down, is no longer working in their favor. They believed it would break your image, your trust, your position. They believed it would make others question you, distance themselves from you, and eventually push you out. But instead, the truth is beginning to flip. People are noticing inconsistencies in their story. People are sensing the desperation behind their actions. Someone who once believed them without question is now starting to wonder why they're so invested in bringing you down. The more they push their narrative, the more forced it feels. And slowly, quietly, people are realizing that the problem was never you. It was the person who couldn't handle your strength, your presence, your growing influence. Meanwhile, your energy is transforming into something unignorable. Your presence is becoming louder without you saying a word. The universe is amplifying your light in ways that are making every lie about you dissolve before they even reach your ears. People are drawn to you without knowing why. They are beginning to feel your authenticity, your depth, your sincerity, and that alone is shaking the very foundation of the plot against you. Even those who once stood in neutral silence are starting to shift toward your side, not because you asked, but because truth has a way of making its own path. And the one who tried to kick you out, they are realizing that your influence is far deeper than they calculated. You were never someone they could replace, and that truth is eating at them from the inside. As their fear grows, so does their urgency. They're trying to speed up the plan now, hoping to act before the unraveling becomes too obvious. But destiny is already ahead of them. Their actions are contradicting their words. Their behavior is exposing their intentions. Someone overheard a conversation they were not supposed to. Someone caught a detail that shouldn't have slipped. Someone noticed the pattern they tried to hide. And now those observations are forming a silent wave, a wave pushing the truth straight toward you. The one who planned to harm you is beginning to sense this shift, and it's making them reckless. Their mask is cracking. Their alliances are weakening. Their certainty is turning into panic. The universe is surrounding you with protection so strong that every trap set for you is collapsing before you step into it. And now, as everything intensifies, your aura is becoming a force that even your enemies cannot ignore. You are stepping into a phase where hidden intentions cannot survive around you. Every lie will reveal itself. Every fake smile will expose its purpose. Every secret move will be pulled into the open. You are not just being protected. You are being elevated. The story they tried to rewrite is returning to its original form, stronger and sharper than before. And in the next chapter, you will witness the moment their entire plan confronts the truth they feared most. You are unshakable, irreplaceable, and destined to rise beyond the reach of anyone who tried to remove you. Everything shifts from this moment onward, because the universe is finally aligning the last pieces that will expose the truth in a way no one can deny. The person who worked against you, the one who spent so much time whispering, manipulating, twisting your words, preparing that one, this, they believed would destroy you, is now standing at the edge of their own downfall. Their plan depended on one thing, you staying silent, unaware, and trusting. But what they never saw coming was the rise in your awareness, the sharpening of your intuition, the power of the unseen forces surrounding you. You are meant to hear this revelation exactly now, at the exact moment when their confidence is failing, and their actions are contradicting everything they said about you. Without realizing it, they have created the perfect pathway for their own exposure, and destiny is already walking them toward it. Their biggest mistake was believing that the universe doesn't intervene. They thought they could twist your kindness into weakness, your softness into ignorance, your trust into vulnerability. They believed this they planned to use, an old story, a misunderstood moment, a manipulated detail, would be enough to turn people against you. But instead, the universe took that very same detail and illuminated it with truth. Suddenly, things don't fit their narrative anymore. Suddenly, people are wondering why they are so invested in damaging your image. There comes a point in every hidden conflict where the pressure of maintaining a false narrative becomes heavier than the lie itself. At first, deception can appear controlled, organized, even convincing. People repeat the same story confidently. Their timing seems deliberate. Their confidence creates the illusion of truth. But lies have one weakness that truth never does. They require constant maintenance. Every detail must be remembered. Every contradiction must be managed. Every person involved must continue performing the same version of events without hesitation. Eventually, that pressure begins cracking the foundation from the inside, and that is exactly the phase unfolding now. The people who worked against you are no longer moving with the same certainty they once carried. Something has shifted in the energy surrounding them. Someone is beginning to question the timing of events. Someone else has noticed inconsistencies they ignored before. Another person, who once stood firmly beside them, has started quietly pulling away emotionally because their intuition no longer feels settled. These may seem like small changes on the surface, but small shifts are often how truth begins resurfacing. It rarely arrives all at once. It starts with discomfort, a pause in someone's confidence, a sentence that no longer sounds believable when repeated, a feeling that something does not fully align. And once that feeling enters the room, it spreads quietly through everyone connected to the situation. The person who initiated all of this feels it most intensely now. They can sense control slipping away, and that loss of control terrifies them because their entire strategy depended on maintaining certainty around the story they created. Now, instead of calmness, there is tension. Instead of clarity, there is over-explanation. Instead of confidence, there is hyper-awareness about how others perceive them. Their actions are becoming unnatural because fear is beginning to interrupt their performance. What makes this even more significant is that guilt has started surfacing in someone connected to their plan. This person may not have originally intended to harm you. They may have been influenced emotionally, manipulated through selective information, or convinced they were doing the right thing at the time. But conscience has a way of awakening slowly when truth continues pressing against denial. And once conscience begins speaking internally, maintaining loyalty to deception becomes emotionally exhausting. That is why their energy has changed. They are becoming quieter, more hesitant, less certain in conversations where they once sounded convinced. Something inside them is pulling toward honesty, even if they are not consciously prepared to admit it yet. Eventually, this internal conflict will create a fracture, a small slip, a sentence spoken too quickly, a detail revealed unintentionally. Often the collapse of false narratives does not begin with dramatic confessions. It begins with one uncontrolled moment where truth escapes before fear can stop it. And once that first crack appears, everything connected to the lie starts weakening rapidly, because people begin reevaluating everything they previously accepted without question. Suddenly, the inconsistencies become obvious. The changes in behavior stand out. The emotional reactions stop matching the story being told. The people around the situation begin noticing how carefully certain individuals choose their words now, how defensive they become over small questions, how differently they behave when you are present compared to when you are absent. Fear reveals itself through overcorrection. That is why the more they try to appear calm, the more unnatural they seem. The more they attempt to maintain control, the more suspicion quietly grows around them. Truth has a certain steadiness to it. Lies require performance, and people are beginning to feel the difference intuitively. At the same time, something important is happening around you energetically and socially. The isolation they hoped to create around your name is beginning to weaken. People who stayed silent before are starting to feel drawn back toward you. Memories are resurfacing in their minds. Someone remembers your kindness during a difficult moment. Someone recalls the way you stood beside them when others disappeared. Another person realizes that the version of you being described does not align with the person they actually know through lived experience. These realizations matter because truth becomes strongest when people stop listening only to narratives and start comparing those narratives against reality. That process has already begun. Quietly, steadily, naturally. The atmosphere around you is shifting from suspicion toward clarity. Meanwhile, the atmosphere around the people working against you is shifting from confidence toward scrutiny. They can feel this change happening, which is why their anxiety keeps increasing. Every conversation feels dangerous to them now because they are afraid of losing control over the story they built. Every silence feels threatening because they no longer know who still believes them fully. And fear makes people unstable. It causes emotional reactions they cannot fully hide. That instability is becoming visible. Others are beginning to notice how quickly they snap at small things, how carefully they monitor your reactions, how defensive they become over details that should not require so much explanation. The pressure of maintaining deception is exposing them more effectively than confrontation ever could. This is the karmic reversal they never anticipated. They believed they could shape perception permanently by manipulating information, but perception built on manipulation eventually collapses under the weight of contradiction. And once that collapse begins, it accelerates rapidly, because people start connecting dots they ignored before. There is also someone observing this entire situation from a distance now with growing awareness. Someone influential, intuitive, or emotionally intelligent enough to sense that the energy surrounding the accusations does not feel authentic. They may not speak immediately, but they are watching carefully. They notice inconsistencies others missed. They recognize behavioral patterns that do not match sincerity. And perhaps most importantly, they are beginning to trust their instincts instead of accepting appearances at face value. This changes the balance of the situation significantly, because once someone with discernment begins paying attention, deception loses its ability to operate comfortably in the shadows. The person who initiated all of this can feel that shift even if they do not fully understand why. That is why panic is quietly replacing confidence inside them. They know the truth has started circulating indirectly now, almost like a whisper moving through the spaces between conversations. They hear hesitation in voices that once supported them fully. They notice distance where there was once loyalty. They feel uncertainty forming around their narrative. And uncertainty is dangerous for anyone relying on manipulation, because once people begin questioning one part of the story, they begin questioning everything connected to it. What they thought was stable suddenly becomes fragile. The very tool they plan to use against you is weakening in their hands, because too many inconsistencies now surround it. Someone has started asking why certain information appeared only now. Someone else is wondering why details keep changing. Another person has quietly realized that the emotional intensity behind the accusations feels disproportionate and rehearsed rather than genuine. These observations may seem separate, but together they form momentum, and momentum toward truth becomes very difficult to stop once it begins. Meanwhile, your own energy is shifting in response to all of this, not through aggression or desperation, but through clarity. You are beginning to stand more firmly in your own truth, without needing constant defense. That steadiness matters deeply, because calmness in the face of manipulation exposes instability in those attempting to create chaos. The universe, or simply the natural order of cause and consequence, has a way of amplifying authenticity over time. You were never meant to spend your life proving your worth endlessly to people committed to misunderstanding you. What is happening now is not punishment directed at others for your satisfaction. It is revelation. Revelation of intentions. Revelation of integrity. Revelation of character. The people around you are starting to see distinctions more clearly now. They are beginning to recognize the difference between someone maintaining steadiness under pressure and someone unraveling beneath the weight of their own dishonesty. That recognition changes how they see you. Respect grows quietly at first, then clarity follows, then distance forms naturally between them and those whose behavior no longer feels trustworthy. This is why you are not truly being pushed out of anything meaningful. You are being repositioned, elevated away from environments, dynamics, and people that depended on distortion rather than truth. Sometimes removal is actually protection in disguise. Sometimes losing false alignment is necessary to create space for real alignment to emerge. The people who never deserved continued access to your energy are revealing themselves through their own actions now, and as they do, the path ahead of you becomes cleaner, clearer, and more stable. What is unfolding now is not random conflict spiraling out of control. It is a separation process between what is authentic and what is performative. The people who tried to weaken your position believed they could build themselves upward by placing weight on your name. But truth has a way of reversing those dynamics over time. Their own actions are becoming evidence against them. Their own fear is exposing what they hoped to conceal. Their own inconsistencies are creating the suspicion they once tried directing toward you. And while they struggle to maintain collapsing narratives, your presence is becoming stronger precisely because you are no longer fighting to force understanding. Calm truth carries its own gravity eventually. People begin feeling it even before they fully explain it logically. That is why the atmosphere around you feels different now. More grounded, more supported, more aligned. You were never meant to disappear beneath someone else's manipulation. You were meant to be revealed more clearly through the contrast of it. And soon, the people around this situation will not just hear the truth, they will recognize it instinctively. The chapter built on distortion is already weakening from within. What comes next will not require dramatic revenge or loud confrontation. The truth itself will become undeniable enough to speak on its own.